What is the best natural topical stack for hair regrowth? With all the noise online, it can feel overwhelming trying to choose the right serum for your hair. Do you go by price or social proof? Do you go by clinical studies or dermatologist recommendations? In this video, we're going to silence the noise. We'll do away with the shoddy studies, the fake testimonials, the paid off doctors who often have no idea what they're endorsing. And we're gonna give you the facts about natural topicals. Which ones work? Which ones don't, which ingredients are gonna help your hair, how to set realistic expectations, and most importantly, how to make an at-home natural topical for a fraction of the cost. That's all coming up. My name is Rob English. I am a consumer advocate and a researcher who specializes in hair loss disorders. I'm on the editorial board of a dermatology journal. I regularly publish peer-reviewed papers about hair loss, and I run a small research team as part of perfecthairhealth.com, where we offer educational and consumer advocacy resources for individuals who are losing their hair and trying to figure out what to do. Now, in this video, we're going to talk about natural topicals. What is the best possible stack of ingredients that you could put together to maximize your chances for hair regrowth? We're gonna get into all of that in just a second. Now, for those who are only here for the top ingredients at the right concentrations, I am going to send you a timestamp, which you can click on below, that'll take you to the moment in this video that we talk about those things. In fact, I'll also include a free PDF that you can download with the link below that'll walk you step by step through how to make these things at home, which ingredients to buy, where to source them, which milligram scale to buy, so that you can cut costs and really drive down your prices and hopefully get a good outcome in the process. But for those who care about the details, who want an exact roadmap as to how to think about natural treatments for hair growth, and who want to understand how to discern if the next natural topical in your news feed is worth its costs and investment, then the whole video here is for you. We're going to dive into all these details. We're going to put you in the best possible position for success. But first, let's talk about how not to pick a natural hair growth serum. Number one, don't pick based on before and after photos you see on a website. It's easy to scroll through a sales page, look at before and after photos, and think to yourself, that could be me. Don't do this. Just in the last year, we've caught dozens of hair loss companies faking their before and after photos. They use Photoshop, they steal photos from transplant clinics, they fail to disclose that some customers were also using other treatments like Finasteride and Minoxidil, or sometimes the customer is just a 1 in 1,000 mega responder representing what's possible, but not what's probable. Or sometimes the customer maybe did experience real hair regrowth, but it wasn't because of the product they were using, it was because they also had a temporary form of hair loss like telogen effluvium that resolved during their use of the product, and now they're conflating the results from telogen effluvium recovery to the product that they were using. We disclose all of these examples and a bunch more in our recent video about the current state of affairs in the hair loss industry. Go check that out if you want to learn more about why you shouldn't be trusting before and afters. Number two, do not pick based on dermatologist recommendations. When you are fighting hair loss, you probably don't have time to become a citizen scientist about every single hair loss topic. So you want to turn to experts like dermatologists to make the recommendations for you. Yet, when it comes to hair loss, your average dermatologist is sadly a moron. Most will not use a microscopic device to examine your scalp at the appointments. They'll barely review your health history. Most will try to sell you into platelet-rich plasma, stem cells, or exosomes, PRP of which 2 studies show is no better than microneedling despite costing 1,000 times more money to the consumer. And most do not know how to read a hair loss study. Case in point, Nutrafol is the #1 recommended dermatologist hair loss supplement on the planet. I think they have something like 4,000 hair professionals endorsing them. And on Nutrafol's website, they feature 5 clinical studies saying their supplements regrow hair. None of the dermatologists endorsing this product seem to be reading those studies, because if they did, they'd realize that 4 of those studies deliberately excluded people with any diagnosable hair loss disorder. I'm not making that up. And the 5th study, it's basically just a white paper where Nutrafol didn't disclose any inclusion or exclusion criteria at all. Can you imagine the outrage if 4,000 oncologists endorsed a cancer treatment based on 5 clinical studies on patients showing that a pill reversed cancer, but those patients didn't even have cancer to begin with, those oncologists would be medically disbarred. So these 4,000 hair professionals, if you want to call them that, endorsing Nutrafol, probably don't know how to read the studies or the products that they're being paid to promote. That's just my opinion. Let's just say they failed the litmus test. Again, if you want to learn more about this, go watch our video about the current state of affairs in this industry. But don't trust the dermatologist recommendations. Too many of them have no idea what they're talking about. Number 3, don't pick based on clinical studies. Unless you know how to read a clinical study on hair loss, unlike the dermatologist I talked about just a second ago. And unless you can identify all the places where a research group might have deliberately cut corners or accidentally cut corners, then your baseline when hearing about a new breakthrough study in the hair loss industry, the baseline should always be wild skepticism. It doesn't matter if the product is 2-deoxyribose sugar or a Nordic Naturals pill or batana oil. I can tell you 100 ways clinicians can and will manipulate the setup of their clinical studies to all but guarantee a great result. And all it takes is just one tiny variable in a study to almost completely invalidate the results of the study. So if you don't know what exactly to look for, then your default reaction to any clinically proven supplement for hair growth or topical has to be skepticism. If you want 20 plus examples of this, go watch our video on evidence quality. It's perhaps the most important video that we have ever released in the history of this site, and it's the one that I am the most proud of. So if you can't trust testimonials, doctor endorsements, clinical studies, and you're not a researcher who lives and breathes in this world like I do, what do you do in this case? Well, for years, this is a question that our research team really wrestled with. And it eventually led us to build what we would call a standardized set of metrics that allow anyone, no matter their level of expertise, to instantly and objectively assess any hair loss treatment or ingredient. These are what are known as our key metrics. We developed them over a series of years. They are evidence quality, regrowth potential, and long-term viability. I will link you to them below. But evidence is how well studied a treatment is. It's data in vitro, in vivo, in humans with hair loss, and the study designs of those human hair loss studies. The better the evidence, the more likely it is that the clinical study's results that you're reading about will match your real-world experience trying that product. Regrowth is how much regrowth you can expect to get from the product. Is it microscopic hair gains that you can see under a microscope but you can't see or feel in person? Or is it cosmetically significant hair gains that you can see and feel in real life? The higher the regrowth score, the bigger your hair growth potential. And viability is the sustainability of whatever treatment you're considering. Is it affordable? Is it easy to administer? Does long-term safety data exist? The more viability, the more likely you are to use the treatment for the long haul. And that's critical because in most cases, hair loss treatments are only going to work for as long as you continue them. Now, using these metrics, our team built a database of 200 plus ingredients and treatments and ranked them all. It is the most robust data set in existence comparing different interventions for hair growth, and we even integrated it with a product database and a product scanner where you can scan the ingredients labels of products you see in the grocery store or online, and you can find out instantly if they're supported by good science or bad science. That is all inside of our membership. If you want, go check it out. For those who are not inside our membership, I have gone ahead and filtered the database for you for natural ingredients delivered topically, and I've also sorted the data by regrowth potential. And this is going to tell us the best of the best natural ingredients for hair growths, the ones that you should be seeing in a top hair growth serum. So here are the ingredients and here are their concentrations. This is the natural hair growth serum that you should be looking for. Saw palmetto, Redensil, Topicals, and Procapil, caffeine, melatonin, adenosine, l-carnitine, l-tartrate, and rosemary oil. This combination of ingredients should help to target a myriad of factors related to pattern hair loss. We're talking DHT levels and the dysregulation of certain growth factors and proteins. Now, in my opinion, any natural topical with all of those ingredients at the specified concentrations that we just mentioned are going to put you in the best possible position for natural hair gains. And yet virtually all serums on the market do not contain those sets of ingredients at those concentrations, probably because they didn't do the exercise we just did that prioritizes evidence, regrowth potential, and long-term viability. So how can you get your hands on a formulation like the one that we just described? Well, there are two ways to do it. First, you can choose to make what we would call a surrogate topical at home. So our team has identified a few lower cost natural serums that can ship worldwide, and they contain several of these major ingredients. We even lab tested those ingredients to spot check a few concentration levels, and things for the most part looked okay. What you can do is you can buy these lower cost topicals, and then you can source the additional ingredients. We're talking melatonin, adenosine, rosemary, a few others, and then add those into your topical serum. To do this, we built a step-by-step PDF that you can download below, and we'll walk you through all of the things to buy, the milligram scales, where to get them, how to weigh the material, and how to mix and apply the serum every single month. It's all in the PDF below. Again, you can download that for free. And if you take this approach, you'll likely cut your costs of experimenting down to about $16, maybe $17 per month to try the serum. While some of the powders, they won't fully dissolve, and while some of the formulation isn't perfect, especially at the concentrations that we can't test, you basically are still saving around $20 to $30 per month, and you're probably not leaving a ton of upside on the table in terms of hair regrowth. Now, the other option is that we grew so tired of asking hair care brands to make this specific formulation that after several years, we just decided to make it ourselves. So if you want this exact formulation with these ingredients at these concentrations, you can try the natural hair growth serum from Ulo. We include a precision dropper so you can always dial in your exposure in terms of milliliters every day. We also formulated the serum to be quick drying and without propylene glycol. So it won't leave your scalp looking greasy, and it won't contain propylene glycol, one of the most common irritants in cosmetic products to date. And we formulated the product with something known as slow drip viscosity. So it spreads a little bit when it hits the scalp skin, enough where you want to get better coverage, but without running quickly down your face and creating a mess. So you would apply about 1 to 2 milliliters daily. You'd leave it in for at least 6 to 12 hours before washing it out. Now that we've covered the best natural topical stack in our eyes, it's time to level set expectations. So if you use this product for 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, how much regrowth can you expect? And here is where I will tell you the truth that no other company selling a natural product line will actually say. You have to temper your expectations. These before and after photos here do not benchmark to things like that. We explained why earlier in this video already. Instead, let's use data and revisit charting for regrowth potential on our site for a range of treatments. So doing this, here's the type of regrowth trajectory you can expect from something like Minoxidil. On average, you're gonna start to see cosmetic regrowth at around month 3. Your results will probably peak around month 6. And then by month 8, you'll actually be slightly trending downward from that peak. But even 5 years into the future, according to the clinical data, you should still remain above baseline. And here's what happens if you escalate that protocol. Say that you enhance your minoxidil concentration, you add in retinoic acid, and perhaps you also start microneedling maybe once every 1 to 2 weeks. You can effectively double the potential for hair regrowth and break into that territory of cosmetically significant results. Now let's switch to 1 milligram of oral finasteride. Here's the regrowth trajectory for this FDA-approved medication. On average, it takes longer for finasteride to produce cosmetic results. It's about 6 months of time before you break into that territory. But for the next 18 months, your results slowly keep getting better and better and better. And it's only by year 2 where you finally start to peak in terms of regrowth and then plateau. Now let's compare these charts to the best natural topical stack out there. We're talking all the individual ingredients that we just mentioned inside of them. Are you ready for the average regrowth potential? It's this. Microscopic hair gains on average that will typically peak around months 6 to 12. Now, I know what you're going to say, but Rob, what about all those before and after photos from people online? And again, we already went through this. A lot of the photos that you see online are fake. And of the ones that are real, a portion of those customers are conflating their recoveries from telogen effluvium with the regrowth from the natural serum that they just bought. And in the other cases, either they're not disclosing all the treatments that they're using, or they're probably just that 1 in 1,000 mega responder. So we have to separate out what is possible from what is probable. What is possible is any individual response to a therapy that constitutes that trend line, the individual data point. but what's probable is the average expected response. And the higher the evidence quality, the more tightly clustered these scatter plots are going to be for forming that average response, and the better expectations you can set for yourself when looking at clinical studies. And unfortunately, with most natural ingredients, the studies testing them have huge problems. They have small sample sizes, they have serious design flaws, and most importantly, the authors almost never corroborate what is observed, these microscopic hair count changes that they report with phototrichogram data, with photo set improvements depicting what would be a typical response by a responder, which means regrowth was only likely happening at a minor level, not a cosmetic level. And that's the problem with these studies. So what then might be a typical response for someone using a natural hair growth serum? Well, our charting data, again, on average shows microscopic hair gains. Some people will fall above that, some people will fall below that. And with microscopic hair gains, there's really no good representative response. The before and after photos, they would basically just look the same. So what if we stack together a bunch of natural interventions? We're talking a topical, a supplement, microneedling, even massaging. Could this combination approach bring that expected regrowth up into that visible territory? The short answer is maybe, but also this has never been studied, and also combining treatments like this, it almost never stacks linearly. We'll have more on that in a later video. But I do suspect that doing all these things together probably would net you a higher regrowth potential than just one of them, and maybe somewhere around here. So do we have representative photo sets of people taking this approach? Yes, we have several, but even these photo sets probably overstate what we should expect as a typical response for natural hair growth. This person used natural topicals, natural supplements, microneedling, and massaging for 12 months. Now, these photos are not picture perfect comparisons, so draw your own conclusions. But this person reportedly was very happy with their hair changes. And at a minimum, I think that the photo sets show stabilization and some minor hair growth and some thickening. But again, I will let you be the judge. And all things considered, I would put their response somewhere around here. Still above what can be expected, especially for a standalone natural topical, but even for a multifaceted natural hair growth stack. Here is another member. Similar hair growth stack, similar improvements. The photos seem to show overall hair thickening, especially at the crown, but I would still put this response up here. That's still a standard deviation from what we would reasonably expect if you adopted the same exact protocol. Here's another member. Now here we see slight differences in hair combing and pronounced differences in photo angles. This could greatly exaggerate the results, so please interpret these photo sets here with extreme caution. And here's another after photo. Again, different picture, but similar criticisms. All in though, this person was reportedly very happy with their results from their all natural hair growth stack, and yet there's still not a typical response. They're probably netting somewhere up here. And this is for an all natural stack, whereas just using the natural topical, that's going to net you somewhere far below this. So if you do pursue a natural approach to hair growth, you have to keep these differences in mind. What is possible does not represent what's probable. What's possible is what you read about on the internet. What's probable are the charts that I'm showing you right here. So with all this information then, how can you approach using a natural topical for your hair care routine? Well, if you're using the available clinical data, then you would know that after about 6 to 8 months of use, you've probably realized about 85, maybe 90% of the total upside the topical can possibly give you for hair regrowth. So if you're happy within 6 to 8 months of your results, at that point, great, amazing, just keep going, keep using it. Again, these things only work for as long as they're continued. But if you're not happy with those results, please don't make the mistake of just assuming that maybe you need more time for results. The clinical data clearly show that that's probably not the case for you. And please don't make the mistake of thinking this product won't work for me, but maybe another natural hair care topical will. In virtually all cases, when you switch products, the ingredients are mostly the same. So trying a new natural topical is kind of like trying the same thing all over again, and yet expecting different results, which some might say is the definition of insanity. But yet marketers want you to believe these things are totally separate, totally innovative products. They basically all contain the same thing. Instead, you really need to consider escalating your protocol, perhaps bumping from a natural topical and stacking that with a minoxidil plus retinoic acid, maybe even a low dose of topical finasteride. If it's side effects that you're worried about, Know that titration schedules can often mitigate those side effects without losing a lot of the upside from the pharmaceuticals. And if it's something else you're concerned about, watch all the other videos here, drop a question below, and if we have a chance, we'll make a video about that concern, see if we can help to explore it for you. So that is everything. I hope that this video helps you make smarter treatment choices. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time, and I wish you the best with your hair recovery.